Or brush bronzer. Once you've done your brush bronzer, oh my god, blush, bronzer, and highlight. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about base makeup for beginners. So what I mean by that is primer, foundation, concealer, and powder, setting spray, everything that's just going to make your face look great to put all your makeup on top of it. The first thing that you should always start with is an SPF. I like to use, it is the La Roche-Posay Anthelios XL. It's important to use SPF every day, even if you're not planning on going outside that day, because the sun rays can get through even just a window. So in order to minimize skin damage and early aging, use a strong SPF on your face. I like to drag it down my neck because more SPF the better. So after we get the SPF on, we're going to move on to primer. Now primer we don't need to use for every single person. Sometimes primer is nice for just the finish of a foundation, or if you have extra oily skin, it can be used to create a barrier between your skin and the oils and your foundation, which can help prolong the amount of time that it's going to stay on for. So for me personally, I have pretty normal skin. Sometimes combo, I can get oily on my chin and right here. So what I like to use for that is a pore filling primer. So I really like the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, and it just looks like this here. And I just like to get a little bit on my finger, rub them together, and just press it where I know I'm gonna get oily. So just right around here. Hi, penguin. That's my little penguin down there. Okay, so once that's all pressed in nice, then what I like to do is go in with a finish altering primer. So what I mean by that is something that's going to make your foundation more matte, more dewy, more natural, more smooth, anything that can help alter the foundation. So for me personally, I really like a foundation that's more dewy. I think it looks healthier for me as opposed to a matte foundation. So I like to use the Essence Fresh Fit and Awake Primer. So I'm just going to give that a little shake, and what this does is just add some nice shine all over my face that's going to come through the foundation. So I just take a pea-sized amount, just like that, and just put that everywhere I didn't put the e.l.f. primer. So I'm just going to make sure everything is nice and pressed into the skin. So before we move on to foundation, this is where you can kind of take the time to assess your skin. So if you have any spots or pimples, blemishes that you want to conceal, now would be the time to go in with a thicker concealer. I have the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. So what I like to do with this is on any of my blemishes, I like to put this one, or you can use a pot concealer. Those are really good also. And I just put it on underneath my foundation, and I don't blend it out. I will just put it on it, leave it sit, and then put my foundation on top, and that way it's being covered extra from underneath where the concealer can really work against it. So thankfully I don't have any of those today, so what I'm just going to do is go straight into foundation. Now before you can put a foundation on your skin, you have to be aware of what type of undertone you have. So the three types of undertones are cool undertones, warm undertones, and neutral undertones. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can go about finding out what kind of undertone is. The easiest way, and this is the kind of way I did it, was just go into your local Sephora or anywhere that they have an esthetician and they can just tell you easily what you have. Or if you want to do it at home, all you have to do is look as far as your veins on your arms. So on your arms, your veins are going to be a certain color. So if you have a cool undertone, your veins on your wrist are going to appear more blue and purple. If you have a warm or golden undertone, your veins will come off as kind of greenish. And if you have a neutral undertone, you can have a combination of both green and purple veins depending on your arms where where you're looking. So for me personally, I have neutral undertones according to the esthetician that I went to see. Another way you can determine what type of undertones you have is by looking at your jewelry. So for cool undertones, you will typically be more drawn towards silver and rose gold. If you have warm undertones, you're most likely going to go for that yellow gold type of look. So neutral undertones, very much like the veins, you can wear both and both look pretty good on you. So once you figured out your undertone, then you can move on to what kind of finish you like in a foundation. So there's a multitude of different finishes, but the main finishes for the purposes of this video are going to be matte, dewy, and natural. So matte foundation is really good for oily skin. It helps control oils and it helps control your oils from pushing through during the day. Dewy foundations are really good for dry skin because it helps to maintain the look of moisture throughout the day on your skin and can hide the dry patches. And then a natural finish of foundation, it can be good for combination skin, any type of skin. In this department, do whatever makes you feel happiest, whatever makes you feel the most confident about yourself, because in the end, makeup is just makeup and whatever works, works. I'm just going to zoom you in now so you can see the application process on my face. So as you can tell, I have pinned my hair back because I hate when my foundation and my hair get stuck together. I've got these cute little pig ears here that my sister bought me, and I've just got my hair clipped back. So for foundation today, I'm going to be using the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. Now I really like this foundation. It is for all skin types. Now when it comes to applying your foundation, there's three main ways that you can do it. You can either use your fingertips, your brush, or a makeup sponge. So I tend to toggle between the makeup brush and the sponge. Now this makeup brush here, the foundation, it is a multitasker complexion 45 brush from Sephora, and this is just the Real Techniques blending sponge. Now today I'm going to show you both sides, one with the brush and one with a sponge, so you can decide which finish you like more. The reason that you would use a foundation brush is if you wanted more full coverage. So the brush doesn't soak up as much product as the sponge, so it's really good for just packing that product on and getting the maximum coverage out of a product that you can. Whereas on the flip side, if you wanted a lighter coverage look, you could go in with a makeup sponge because it does soak up a little bit more product and just applies more of an airbrush type of look. Now, personally, what I like to do is go in with my foundation brush all over the face and then go in with the beauty sponge after and just soak up any of the excess product so that it's not just sitting on my skin making me look extra cakey. So for today, I'm going to do one side of each. So I'm just going to start on this side here, and this one does have a doe foot applicator. I'm just going to do a couple of swipes. So another tip that I would suggest is start with less product and add product as you see fit. So don't just go in with, 8 swipes across your face and then you have all this extra foundation that you don't know what to do with and then you look all cakey. So if you just go in with a small amount of product, then you can blend it out as far as that's gonna go, and then you can really see if you need more product. So here what I'm doing is dabbing rather than blending like this, and that's just going to kind of blend it away. I like to dab, dab, dab first and get the coverage where I need it. So that's with one layer on. Now for me personally, I do have quite a bit of redness in my cheeks, so I'm just going to go in with a little bit more, just where I need it. Now this is quite a natural coverage foundation, so with this one specifically you're not going to get a full coverage look, so you are still going to be able to see, you know, some of my freckles and my redness peeking through, but that's just what I like personally. You can use these techniques for any amount of coverage, you know, if you want to use a BB cream or a full coverage foundation, anything in between, these same techniques are going to apply. Now I'm just going to go over to this side here with this sponge. So same thing. I'm just going to put a couple of swipes. One. So I've got that. Just get my clean sponge. This is the Real Techniques blending sponge. And just... and there is that side. So you can see here we've got the sponge on this side and the brush on this side. Now the coverage with this foundation looks pretty similar, but I do prefer the finish with the sponge, so I'm just going to go over the brush side and make it look the same as the sponge side. I just like a nice even coverage that kind of neutralizes all my redness, but I can still see my freckles coming through. Now, when it comes to concealing the dark circles under my eyes, I like to first fall back on a color corrector. Now, if I have extremely bad dark circles for that day, these can really come in handy, but you need to know how to use them properly. Now what I like to do is take a peachy yellow toned color corrector, like this one right here, and just take the tiniest bit on my pinky finger. Just the smallest amount. And then what you can do is just go right where that darkness is. So for me, I've got some purple right here, and I tend to get some purple right here. Then I'm just going to take my sponge and just blend it out any further. Now what this does is it helps to use less concealer, which is really the thing that likes to crease under your eyes. So if I've already covered up the majority of that purple and the darkness under my eyes, I can use a lot less concealer. So for concealer today, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. I'm just going to put a touch on the inside, and like I said, I have a lot of darkness right here on that outer corner, so I'm just going to put a touch right there. And what I like to do is angle it upwards, and that's going to help create more of a lifted eye. So you can see right there, that's all the concealer that I'm going to use for today. And then I just take my sponge and I'm going to blend it out. Okay, so now we're going to move on to powder now that I have my face makeup done. A lot of people tend to overuse powder, and that can make their skin and their foundation look much more dry than it really is. So powder is amazing for people who have really oily skin and their oils tend to come through their foundation a lot, and so powder can be really good to help control that. But if you're like me and you have normal to dry skin, powder can be more of an enemy than a friend. So I personally like to do something called spot powdering. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically just putting the powder where you need it to be able to continue the longevity of the makeup throughout the day and to help be able to blend products on top. So what I like to do before I put any powder on is just feel my face. Is my foundation still tacky, and will I be able to blend products on top of it? So today my foundation is staying pretty tacky even though I've had it on for quite a few minutes. So I'm going to do spot powdering just right here, just to make sure that my blush, bronzer, and highlight doesn't skip over on top of it when I start to blend that out. So I'm just going to use the Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder today. It is in shade Naturally Neutral. It is a loose powder, as we can see here. So what I'm just going to do is dip my powder brush. This is the MAC 420 SE powder brush. What I just like to do is dip a little bit in there, get it on my brush, and then tap it into here and swirl and tap it off. You can sort of see how much is on my brush. And I'm just going to start to press it on where I said I was going to blend it before. Now, I like to press instead of blend and sweep because it's less likely to disturb the foundation underneath. Now for the under eyes, it's important that you press out any creases that may have developed since you've started. If your under eyes tend to crease really badly, really fast, feel free to set your under eyes as soon as you're done your concealer. So I just like to take my beauty sponge and press them out. And take a smaller brush. This is a mud brush in 620. Again, just take a tiny bit of powder, tap off the excess, and just apply it right on the under eyes. Now you can see here there's really not that much on my brush. I just like to have it a little bit set. Now the last thing that I would suggest is really related to base makeup is going to have to be setting sprays. Now setting sprays I recommend putting on once you've done your brush bronzer. Once you've done your brush bronzer, oh my god. Blush, bronzer, and highlight. Am I ever going to get that right? Blush, bronzer, and highlight. And what setting sprays are really good for is locking your foundation into place or changing and altering the finish of your foundation. So they're very similar to primers in that sense, except they're on top of your makeup and just gonna help lock it all into place. Okay, so I'm back. I've done my blush, bronzer, and highlight, so now it's time to put on my setting sprays. Now, I would recommend putting your setting spray on before you do your eye makeup, or if you want to do your eye makeup before your foundation, at least before you put your mascara on, because if you're not wearing waterproof mascara, it can run and ruin all of your hard work. I like to have 2 different setting sprays with me at all times in case I want something different than I did the day before. So I have the Catrice Cosmetics HD Active Performing Freezing Spray. Now this is a long wear setting spray, and what it does is extend the longevity of your makeup throughout the day. So if I'm going to be somewhere that's going to be very hot or out for a really long time, I like to use this freezing setting spray because it's going to make my makeup last a long time. Now the other setting spray that I have is also from Catrice Cosmetics. It is the Illuminating Prime and Fine Dewy Glow Fixing Spray. Now this does exactly what it says. It's going to create a nice dewy look and sheen over your face. So I'm just going to use this one today. I'm going to give it a shake. And I just like to do about 4 sprays lengthwise across my face. And you can see on my forehead especially, it just added a little bit of nice glow. That's just going to make my skin look healthier. So that's going to be all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something today. If you'd like me to continue this series, I could do one for blush, bronzer, and highlight, as well as easy eyeshadow looks for beginners. Just let me know in the comments down below if that's something you'd be interested in. I hope you're having a really great day today, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye!